Yo, what's up guys? This Topics here, and I am going to be filming a video today on, tips and tricks, or just simply how to gather difficult first pulls of dungeons. So, shout out to the Avatar Patreon member Jake93. This was his video idea. You guys are also welcome to submit video ideas that I will most likely entertain and fulfill if you're also a Patreon subscriber. So shout out to Jake. But this is the way I'm going to approach this video. So let me open adventure guide here. So I'm not going to be doing like pulls that are in the middle of dungeons or end of dungeons or anything like that. It's just going to take far too long to replicate. Like, not only would I have to find an M plus group that can get there, but then I have to do that in all 8 dungeons or however many dungeons there are. It would just be an extremely long video to film. But I will say, anything not included in this video, you guys, like pulls in the middle of a dungeon, like 2 that I can think of right now are the trash after first boss priory, like those paladins, or maybe something like the Darkflame cleft minecart. I have VODs of these dungeons up on my YouTube channel. You guys are free to go check out those VODs and fast forward to the timestamp you need. But this video is specifically going to be gathering first pulls of dungeons. So I think the ones that we're going to do are Cinderbrew Meadery. I think I'll probably do Rookery if you do want to do a large first pull that sometimes some teams do. I'm going to do Floodgate. I'm going to do Mechagon, and I'm going to do Motherlode. So the only ones I'm not going to include are... Actually, you know what? I'll do Darkflame Clef too, because that first pull is difficult if you're not experienced. The only ones I'm not going to include are Priory first pull, and the reason why is because this varies depending on your group. There are a lot of different first pulls that I've seen. So there's just too much variance there. But again, you're welcome to go check my VODs to see how I've been pulling that. Although how I've been pulling that has changed as well. So Priory will not be included, and Theater of Pain will not be included because that's easy, right? Like, you just skip the 3 guys to the left and then go into boss, so there's not anything to really cover there. But yeah, I think I'll cover the other 6 dungeons, so let's get started. I guess we'll just go in order here. I'll go to Cinderbrew Meadery first. Alright guys, so I'm in Cinderbrew. I have the dungeon difficulty set to Mythic, so it should be all the same packs that's on Mythic Plus, because this is a Mythic 0. But obviously it's, it's gonna be, they're gonna be strong enough where I can demonstrate the pull, but weak enough where I'm not just gonna like fall over without a healer probably. So this way I'll be able to show you guys the pull. So a standard first pull, some teams pull 2 muscles, this one and this one. Some teams pull 3, which is this one, and this one. Either way, I'm probably going to demonstrate the 3 muscle pull just because that's more standard in high keys and you kind of need to do that for time. But I'm going to talk about the pull first and then I'm going to do it. So typically you want to like mark one for, which one you're going to be prioritizing. So you can mark whatever one your team decides. We often go with this one on the right. And to gather the pull, remember that this is a lot of mobs. You're not going to be, charging to all of them or, necessarily like doing GCDs on all of them because that's just going to take way too long. So for gathers like this, you just want to make sure everything's walking in towards you, and then you will be getting aggro and threat as they're coming in. So typically what I do is I throw an axe at this left guy, and then I leap to about here. And then once I leap, you can just body pull this muscle pack if you want, or you can just taunt it. Taunting is fine too. And then after I do that, since I have the speed boost from leaping over here, I can kind of run quickly over here and body pull these. So just to recap, it's axe throw, leap, taunt, and then you just run over here, and you can just start fighting over here. You can, if you have your Ravager target reticled like this, you can actually throw it over here too, so that you don't have to run as far over here. The reason I say that is because you want to play about here, something like this, just in case this pull takes long. You don't want Chewy, this guy over here, to be walking over here while you're still fighting and then you accidentally pull him. So That's essentially the reason you fight the mobs here. But without further ado, I'm gonna start this pull. Where's Chewy at? I just want to make sure he's not gonna aggro. He probably won't aggro. It's M0. All right, so I think we'd probably be like standing here when timer goes off. So, well, I guess I need to talk about defensives too, right? I'm not gonna talk about defensives the whole pull, but I'm gonna at least talk about it gathering. So I typically pop shield wall as I'm gathering, just so I'm not taking too much damage up front. So it basically, you know, select this guy, pop shield wall. Basically like that. And then away we go. So one thing I will mention is when everything's almost in, you want to AoE taunt. So, you know, this pack here, this pack here, and this pack here is running in. Once they're within your AoE taunt range, you want to AoE taunt them just to stabilize aggro. You do not need to hold AoE kick for that pull. There's only like 2-3 casters. You can just stun them or regular kick them. So it's good to hold your AoE kick for when things are actually gathering in there. Just so that you can establish threat, right? Because all that you did was axe throw and taunt and then body pull everything else. So the threat and aggro can be a little shaky, so I would recommend sending your AoE kick there. But anyways, that is Cinderbrew Meadery. I think we're gonna go Rookery next, just because it's in Dornigal. Alright, so waiting for this guy to stop talking. So this pull. So there's two different ways people pull this. Sometimes they pull this trash over here and then they just go mid and stop there. Some routes also have you pulling this far side for an even bigger pull, and then you would lust it. Funny enough, my team recently has just been doing these two, and we actually lust pull 2 up in first boss area. It just works better for our comp. This major, you know, gather lust pull is typically better for like VDH, DK, Boomy, but you can also do it on Prot Warrior too if you're playing with like a DK or something and a Boomy. It's not that big of a deal. But typically what you want to do is you always want to go right first. And you want to get aggro on these packs. For whatever reason, I've noticed on Prot Warrior, like, aggro is really shaky on these guys specifically. Especially if you just, like, tag them quickly and then start gathering. If you don't do enough GCDs and threat on these guys, they'll start running up here towards your ranged players. Because your ranged players are going to be standing up here, right? Fighting. The range never go down. But, yeah, if you don't get enough threat on these guys, they'll definitely start, like, aggro, like, your healer will aggro, maybe your ranged DPS, so... that's the first thing. Get enough threat and aggro on these guys. And then typically what I do is I will either just like manually run over here or I'll charge over to the mini boss. And then once you charge over to the mini boss, I usually throw my Ravager down in this area immediately, no matter what. But if I'm going over to this other area, definitely you want to throw your Ravager down here and potentially even do like another Thunderclap just to get more aggro on these guys. And then from there, you'll leap over here and you can like taunt this guy and like throw an axe on this guy basically. You don't need as much aggro on these guys just because typically your DPS or healer will have started already doing stuff on these guys, so they're not going to really pull aggro on these guys, or at least they shouldn't. But at that point, everything will be coming in. I will note that you do need a ranged kick on this Thunder or like a DK grip, because as a tank you wanna come back to middle immediately, right? Like you don't want to be standing over here. You want to be in middle so that your ranged can hit. So I'm gonna kind of show what that looks like. I'll show the full thing because, you know, obviously if you don't grab these ads, you guys just know that we're stopping mid, and you can kind of ignore this other part. Yeah, typically I think this mini boss will be walking back to mid, so okay, it looks good. So basically I'm gonna shield wall and then I'm gonna shield charge, make sure you do Thunderclap. You can do like a couple of GCDs here, and then I'm going to turn around, charge to this guy, throw Ravager down, maybe do another GCD, leap over here, taunt, do something on that guy, and then I come back to mid. And then this is where you play. You would play right here. So obviously, if you're in a coordinated group, you would have kicks assigned and you'd be doing stops. Obviously this guy's not getting kicked or gripped, but you would have one on him, so he would be brought in. So that's basically the pull. As I try and leave the dungeon. But yeah, that's the pull in Rookery, you guys. Of course, it's, you know, you can go and check my VODs that I have on my YouTube channel, but that's as close as I can replicate it here for you on video. Like I said, of course, there'd be kicks assigned, so everything would have been grouped a little bit better, but that's how you would gather or pull that as a Prot warrior. So next, we are going to go, I think I'm just going to fly down that little terminal and go to probably Floodgate and then DFC. Alright guys, so I'm in Floodgate, and the pull I'm going to be demoing is the standard pull, like most groups are doing this, is where you walk over here, you grab these, and then you jump up onto this ledge and start grabbing everything else. Some high groups, like maybe in 19s and 20s, they're doing an even larger first pull where they're actually coming over here to get this, running up here, getting all of that, and tagging these. My group typically hasn't been doing that because I'm playing with Fizz comp, and like a lot of us are target capped, so adding something else into first pull doesn't really do anything. If you're playing like Unholy DK, Boomy, Ret Paladin, stuff like that, like it's probably more worth adding something into extra pull, but for us, I don't really think it's a time save at all. So we haven't been doing it, so I'm probably just going to demo the standard one here. So let me talk through it first before I do it, because talking through it in real time is sometimes just a little bit fast, but if I talk through it first and then you guys see it, it might be easier to comprehend. So this far out guy, I'm going to charge to. I'm going to pop shield wall first before I charge to him, just so I have mitigation up while I'm gathering. So I'm going to pop shield wall, charge to him, and then I'm going to do like at least a thunderclap on these guys, maybe one more thing, just so you don't rip, so DPS doesn't rip threat. This is one of the first packs that DPS will typically rip threat on. And then, here, let me come over here. Another pack that they rip threat on too is like this 2-pack here. I don't know if it's just because of the first 2 packs that I'm passing and maybe haven't fully unloaded on, but I feel like those are the 2 that get ripped threat on. So shield wall, charge to this pack, and then I'm going to jump up on the little ledge. And then I'm actually going to shield charge to these 2, because shield charge generates a lot of threat. So that makes sure that I don't lose threat on either of these first 2. And then I'm going to use my second charge to this guy, and then usually I will throw my Ravager down also on this guy. This is where I want to generate like the absolute most threat is on the Shredinator. And at that point I've used both charges and my shield charge, so then I'm going to leap over to this corner and just body pull these guys, and then continue running over here and body pulling these guys. At that point everything should be running in towards you. You want to kind of set up base middle. I'll AoE taunt as everything is close to being in, just to fully establish threat and aggro. It's similar to Cinderbrew Meadery, how you don't really need AoE kick for this first pull. There's only a couple casters, you can just kick them or stun them. So using AoE kick or AoE taunt for threat is actually a good idea on this pull. So let me demo this for you. So it's basically just like that, guys, and then at that point you're just, you know, popping defensives, doing your rotation, making sure you're moving out of stuff. So that is basically, that is the Floodgate first pull. As I run out of here again. Melded, see ya. Alright. So I think, yeah, next we're gonna pop over to DFC. Alright guys, so I'm in DFC here. And the standard high key pull is you basically pull some amount of the laborers in this first area. You take the overseer down this hallway. You actually want to make sure the overseer does his first stomp like still in the hall and not on these mobs over here. There's a lot of casters over here, including these guys. The worst thing to do would to have the first stomp go off on these casters and knock them all over the place. Good luck getting the pullback together. So just make sure the first stomp goes in the hall, because then you have like a good amount of time to finish gathering everything and fight before he even does another stomp. And at that point, the next stomp, you're going to probably have a Druid Vortex, or maybe you can play Spear as Warrior, which I sometimes do. Yeah, there's a different amount of laborers in each of these pulls. I actually leave these three in this nook. I actually just grab this pack and then go get everything else. So again, pop shield wall as you're gathering. That should be like a staple on Prot Warrior, just to mitigate damage you're taking at the start. And then one more tip I have. Some groups CC this guy and play it with the next pull, which is fine. But if you're in Discord and you have comms, I actually don't think you need to do that. So what I actually do is, once the Overseer Stomp is going off in the hallway, I actually charge over here. I wait like a second, and I get both of these with AoE kick. It allows me to bring them in to the left side over here, which is where we're gonna play the pull, like the left side of the room. And then at that point, you know, you can do Shockwave, double Shaman stops, and then just do your stop rotation and kicks. But let me demo what this looks like. So, oh, and by the way, I shield charge actually this first pack just to make sure I have high threat on here, because I'm probably not going to hit these very much after that, because they're going to be trickling in. So I shield charge here, and then I actually leap over here, and then I thunderclap, and then basically I'm on my way. So it looks like this. And then you're just slowly dragging it, making sure the stomp goes off in the hall. So I see it going off, I go over here, wait, AoE kick, and then you can start playing this pull. And you know, obviously I'll kick that and maybe Shockwave next, and then you're just focusing the Overseer at this point. And yeah. And then if I was playing Spear, I would throw it down right now so that the ads don't go everywhere. And that is the pull. Also, if you guys noticed, I aggroed the pack in this nook, or yeah, which you can avoid if you don't get too close. I think I like leapt too much of an angle this way. Yeah, if you leap too much of an angle like this instead of like over here, you'll actually aggro these. So don't do what I did. See if I can actually, I might actually re-show you guys this if possible. Let me reset this. It's not a big deal if you aggro those extra little guys. You just don't need them on that pull for count, at least in the route that I do. If you want to pull them, then you don't really have to worry about your proximity to them there. But if you know, if you struggle with the bleed as a Prot Warrior on this first pull, oh, it looks like I'll just show you. So you'd want to go like this and then probably leap over here. I kind of leapt over here and it proximity pulled these. So that's basically all that I wanted to show you. So now we have two left. We have Workshop and Motherlode. So I think we'll go Workshop next. Alright guys, I'm going to show you the Workshop first pull now. So first thing is when you're running down here, ask your shaman or druid if you have them for like roar or windrush, because you are very slow as a prot warrior. Waiting for this guy to stop talking. So annoying. It's a crazy amount of dialogue.
All while avoiding a flying death machine so that we can break into a fortress that has even more death machines.
I should turn that off, honestly.
Your assessment is accurate.
Alright, anyway. So it's important that you're the first person to jump down here as a tank, actually. It can really screw up the pull if someone else jumps first and gets aggro. For example, if a DPS jumps down here before you, these things will start running forward, and it makes the whole gather way more difficult. So if you're with a team or in comms, or even in a pug, just type in chat or tell them, like, please let me jump down first. I can't tell you how many times that's caused this pull to go a little sideways, but either way, like standard, you're going to shield wall before you start the pull so you take less damage gathering, and then you're actually going to shield charge this first pack. Again, shield charge generates a lot of threat, and because this first pack is going to be one that you're not touching for a while as you're gathering, you want to make sure you have aggro on it, because this pack is one of the main culprits of aggro issues. DPS and healer will pull threat on this if you don't do an ability on it. So what I do is I shield charge, and then I leap over here and thunderclap so that I do something. And then I will throw Ravager down somewhere like around there, like kind of in between these two packs, because what it'll do is it'll spin on these and it'll follow me back this way, because after I've shield charged here, leapt and thunderclap there, I'll throw Ravager here, then I actually have 2 charges left, right? So then I'll charge to this guy, and then I'll move this way and charge to this guy. At that point, everything is running in, your Ravager is spinning in the middle, and then what you want to do is, aggro is actually usually still shaky at that point. You want to spin around and basically Thunderous Roar everything. Thunderous Roar has a 12-yard cone, so it should hit most things and kind of pick up the rest of that aggro. So I'll show you what that looks like here. So you're basically running down, you jump down first, you pop shield wall, and then shield charge, leap, thunderclap, Ravager, charge here, and then you're gonna charge here, and then you're gonna spin around and you're gonna breath everything. And then at that point you see where things are, you kind of just play here. I can shockwave, don't get knocked, then AoE kick, and then away you go. So that is the first pull. Can I make it out of here? Oh, I actually didn't know I couldn't leap back up here. So let's go into Motherlode, which is our last one. And I'm going to demo the first pull that I do here. I know a lot of people, they kind of walk off to this side over here and either go behind this house or maybe jump in front and grab these things. As far as I know, that's an outdated first pull. It's not as efficient route-wise or anything. Some teams lust this first pull, some don't. I guess that's not really relevant to what I'm showing here, but I think I'm going to actually open MDT. This is kind of hard to show you guys everything I'm gathering just looking at this. But basically, I'm starting here, right? So I'm going to shield wall, charge into this first pack, thunderclap. So just a regular charge and thunderclap. You don't want these rooted. And then I'm going to leap over to the middle here. And there should be both of these mobs here. I'm going to leap over here. And then I'm actually going to AoE taunt at this point. And the reason I do that is because these things are running in. I don't want to sit here too long doing GCDs because I have more stuff to gather. So I'm going to AoE taunt here. And then I'm going to actually, what you have to do is you actually have to individually throw axes at these, just because you don't want to charge over here either, because it's just going to make the gather take way too long. So I actually taunt one of them and throw axes at the other two, and then you can use like your shield charge that you still have to charge over here and get a lot more aggro. And then at that point, I spin around and I Ravager and Breath, Dragon Breath. So I'll just recap. So it's Shield Wall, Charge, Leap here, AoE Taunt, Axe, Taunt, and then either a charge or a shield charge back into the corner. And this is where we're playing, is right here. Very important that your DPS does not send too early, that they don't get too close to the pull either. This is another one that's very easy for them to rip threat on. So the pulls that I notice people ripping threat on the most are probably first pull Floodgate, first pull Workshop, and this one. Those are the culprits typically. So I will show you what this looks like. I'm gonna wait for these assassins to patrol back though, because this is not where they are usually when you start the key. Alright. They're about there when you start. So it looks like this. Then you spin around, Ravager, and Breath everything as it's coming in. And then obviously you have kicks and stuff to get here. You send everything you have. Assassins are gonna cast, but I'm stunned because there's too much stuff going off, so. Anyway. See if I can leap away and meld. Okay. So anyways, yeah, that's what the first pull of Motherlode looks like. And that is going to conclude this video, I believe. We went over... Did I have aggro? No. We went over Cinderbrew Meadery, the Rookery, Floodgate, Darkflame Cleft, Mechagon Workshop, and Motherlode. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it helpful, which I hope you did, because that was the intent of this, some of these pulls can be very daunting and difficult as a new tank, or even on Prot Warrior in general, who, you know, that's one of our weaknesses is gathering large pulls, just because we don't have very good ranged aggro abilities. But yeah, if you found this helpful, please like the video, leave a comment, and think about subscribing. I make Prot Warrior content regularly. I post a lot of VODs. I discuss my gameplay. So I really appreciate your guys' support. Good luck out there and have fun. See you in the next one. Big shout out to all of the Patreon subscribers. I really appreciate your support, and with your help, I'm able to continue making content for this class that we love. Thank you.